Welcome to This Week in Marketing, where Coach Jason Pantana and I help you modernize your marketing, build your brand, and ultimately win more business. So what if you could do $100 million in volume in the next 18 months by doing 130 video home tours, and the first one wasn't even your listing? Brad McCallum, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Tom.
Yes, super excited. So for the people that haven't maybe caught wind of you or checked out one of your videos or heard you sort of out there talking about all this stuff, who is Brad? Give people a quick, fast version.
Okay,
I know you've been in the business forever.
No, I've not been in the business for that long. Around 40, midlife crisis, decided time to change careers, had some health issues. So I thought, okay, I gotta go get that easy real estate money. And once I, of course, got into real estate, I was like, where's the easy money, right? There's no reason to work with me. And there was amazing agents in my marketplace that were, dominating those areas. And I thought I needed to come up with something that was uniquely mine, that was a true value offer to the seller. And I decided to go all in on video. I'd been watching a lot of YouTubers that were not real estate creators, guys like Peter McKinnon and Casey Neistat. And these guys, they were experts at telling stories, and they were experts at making something very normal look cinematic and cool and engaging and exciting, right? Just going to the beach with friends or whatever it might be. Right. So I decided I'd do video from there, and it just started to hit. I started to realize it had a much longer tail than I originally thought. Sure. I thought, hey, this will maybe help me sell the house. But in the end, what it was is that neighbors were watching who were putting in the work as well on the listings. They were getting excited about that. People were starting to view these videos as almost like mementos to take on from their past. And then all the while, because we always put ourselves in the videos, we became the authorities for those homes. And I realized really quickly that people were looking at us as the authority simply because we were walking around. So if I walked through a $500,000 home, it's like, okay, great. I know that community, right? I was an authority on that area, and it would give me an opportunity to talk a bit about the community in the video, talk a little bit about the home, the lifestyle. And by putting all that
Brad,
stuff together,
there's 27 things to
sorry,
unpack already. Sorry, Canadian.
That's the Canadian in me. Yeah.
No, I don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
40, health issue. You okay?
I was good. I had a parotid gland tumor, so right in my face. Yeah.
Okay. And then why what did you do before real estate?
I was a designer and a renovator. So
okay, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
But what about cinematography? You actually asked yourself, what could I do differently to stand out and become, something that is value add? You actually asked the right question. Where did that come from?
Yeah, you know what? I guess the only thing that I thought about when I got my real estate license was when I had that epiphany that no one should work with me because I didn't have any experience. It was really simple. I thought I could spend the rest of my life asking for more business from buyers and sellers, or I could ask a better question, which was, what's in it for them if they choose to work for me? Right. And if I wake up every day and I focus on that question of what's in it for them, I'll come up with a better answer next time I'm at a listing presentation or working with a buyer.
Right. So where did that thought process come from, though? Because that's not a normal, that's a very strategic question. That's the kind of startup founder I want to invest in. You with me? Someone that actually thought through it differently, saw the problem, realized, and then created.
Yeah, I think we came from a place of probably just where we were at in our life. We came from a place of need. We financially, I felt like, my goodness, 60 will be here in a snap, and I won't have my family set up properly. And if I don't make massive action right now, I'm going to find myself falling behind or not being able to provide for them the way they needed it. So I think for me, the reason I asked that question was because I just did not believe I was entitled or deserved any listing. I didn't believe I deserved it from my sphere of influence.
Right.
I didn't believe that I deserved it because I was someone's family member or cousin or pal or golfing buddy or anything like that. And in fact, I really didn't want that kind of business. I didn't want a business that was focused on my sphere of influence, thinking, hey, Brad, if we tell Brad, or if we're at a dinner party and we tell Brad that we're moving in 6 months, this conversation goes to Brad pitching himself.
Right.
And so for me, it was more about the only way to grow my sphere of influence is if people outside of my sphere actually starts to feel like I'm their friend.
Right.
Like they have some sort of association with me, and that's the cool part. Yeah,
Right.
So.
And then your sphere follows accordingly.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Oh, what video are you going to shoot for our house?
Well, I'd say the biggest difference was, you tell your friend, hey, like, would you like to know what your home value is?
Yeah.
Right. You're a salesperson, right? But if they say, hey man, I saw that video, that home sell, my sister lives in that community. She was thinking about selling in the spring. Now I'm the authority. That was the difference. Yeah.
And that, like, we could end right there. Video creates the authority.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, having done video as long as I've done it now, going back to like my first YouTube channel in 2007, there's been an evolution.
Yes, there has.
And I clearly see yourself and Timmy Smith and others, Jeremy, right, who are pushing the envelope. I'll take Jeremy in a different direction, but like you and Timmy in this artistic, I don't call it video, it's like cinematography, right?
Yeah.
You do it differently, right? And you mentioned like Casey and people that are definitely pushing the envelope outside of real estate. So I actually got like 5 questions for you.
Sure.
First thing is I want to know is like, what's your thing when it comes to video?
Yeah, so I'd say our thing is listing videos, and the whole goal is to make them look cinematic, highly produced, like HGTV quality, if not higher, for the goal of building our own personal brand and obviously selling the house. Right. And the high quality listing videos, if you check out our YouTube channel, people are really shocked, not just at the quality and where they're at, but at the production budget and who's doing it, right?
Right.
Which oftentimes for the first 2.5 years was me fully.
Yes.
Right. So shooting, editing, everything, even a video, and I know you're going to give me a hard time for this, but even last weekend, I fully edited a video that we shot last week and threw it up on the YouTube channel. And, already we've got, what is that, almost 7,000 views on it and 25,000 minutes of watch time. Like that's massive.
It's huge. Right? And okay, we didn't cover that you're in Calgary, right?
Yes.
Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So how big is the addressable market in Calgary? So they have context for like 7,000 views is a lot of views anywhere on a listing video.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm in a city of about 1.2 million people. And there is in our city, because I've been doing YouTube for so long, I think we have one of the highest concentrations of agents that have YouTube channels that do listing video tours.
Yes.
Simply as the market needing to offer it after seeing what we've been doing for so long.
Right. So we're going to unpack that too. But how did you discover this form versus all the other forms?
Honestly, I think like I love short form video. I think there's definitely a place for it. I like market updates, all that stuff. That seemed really a clear path to get a buyer.
Yes.
And I wanted sellers.
Yes.
And for me, it felt like if I could do something that actually wasn't selling BS to the client, where I'm like, oh, I've got this database of buyers just waiting to buy, and I work with a lot of people in your community, or I'm a local area expert, or all these different things. It just felt like all of that was this like real estate salesperson talk.
Right.
And I just didn't want that. I wanted to have this thing that I could say, look, you might have a niece that does real estate. You might have a buddy that does real estate. You might have all these other people that could do it for you. I'm not going to come in and just give you a price on your property so you can then know that your buddy isn't lying to you or feeding you a line. It's like, I'm going to come in and show you something. You're going to realize that you're not going to be able to get that anywhere else.
Right.
And if you can get that with me, and if we can grow the audience right, then what we can actually build is something far more than just a great video. We can actually build exposure that no other agent can offer.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I said this to you yesterday in the mastermind. How often do people say to you, okay, we're so excited to have you over. What kind of video would you do on my house?
Yeah. So listing presentations for us are not like I don't have a listing presentation. Right. I'm not saying that that's a good strategy, but
because every now and then you probably have one that's like, hey, we're interviewing multiple agents.
Yeah, every once in a while we get that. And it's more just like, once again, I don't think we deserve them, but when we get to the listing, people have usually already binged. And when they binge, they'll like have the game on and spend like 3 hours on their phone watching all of our videos. And what's wild about that is that it's just not who you think it is. Like whether it's TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, a lot of agents bring this like preconceived notion of who that audience is on those platforms.
Right.
It's just not true.
It isn't true at all.
This last week we picked up $100 million contract with about 70 units.
A builder.
And about 70 units. And that contract came from someone who was watching a hockey game, watching our YouTube videos, reached out to us and said, look, here's our agreement that we have with our existing agent. We're not really quite happy with the exposure. We'd like to bring you guys in, but this is what we pay. And I said, okay, cool. So that's not what we accept. What we actually accept is this. This is it.
Yeah.
And they said, well, no, this is. And I'm like, listen, there's that.
You called
cool.
me.
That's cool
me.
That's what your arrangement was. But
Yes.
here's the reality: is that like what we're doing is different. It has value, and when you guys figure that out, let's do business together.
Yes.
And they tried for about a week and a half to negotiate, and we had a number. I said, I'm a bad negotiator, so I start with my best offer. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. And when you guys get there, let's do it. And that's what's wild about that is that is playing out on a weekly basis for us in our marketplace, because the brand is spiraling well beyond what we can control. Yeah.
So just for context, he's like 30 months in the business, and it's really been the last 18 months that this thing has really caught fire.
Yeah.
What was it like in the beginning? Just so you know, we're going to go through process, storytelling. We're going to look at the best videos, the worst videos. There's going to be a lot of ground covered today.
Cool.
But in the very beginning, like I remember shooting my first couple of videos and like looking, 30 views, 300 views, and thinking like, wow, I'm putting a lot of energy in this. And I was playing the long game, but you're 2 years in and people really aren't on YouTube in 2007, 8, 9, when I was doing all this. You had an unfair advantage, but did you see success early?
Yeah, I saw success early, mainly on a smaller level where people would see the video and they were impressed. And what's, outside of the real estate world, people believe that agents get paid too much, do too little, they're all the same. Yep. And we forget that once we get inside the world. And the longer we're in the world, the more we, pat ourselves on the back and tell us we're great or give each other awards. But the reality is at the end of the day, our industry is under threat from big tech and AI and all these different things that are looking to take those juicy commissions away from us with this idea that, hey, listen, there's just been a poor exchange of value. Right. But we know, like the old cliche, price is not an issue, and in the absence of, or value's not, whatever that one is. Yes. Yeah. You know the one. But basically, at the end of the day, very early on, people just simply saw that when they said, hey, listen, this guy actually cares about his clients. He actually does something. They could see like a physical manifestation of that. And that was actually creating really great engagement and early wins. People were coming into the open house, and I was getting the feedback that I needed to keep building my audience because people were coming in and like, oh my God, it's actually you. Like you're here at the open house too, right? And I thought,
where's your wife?
I'm like, what are you talking about? And then there were people that were actually starting to write offers sight unseen. And so this last year, because of those YouTube videos, we sold 3 properties that were right around the $3 million mark, where we brought in the buyers from out of province, and they bought our client's property without even walking through it. Some of them not even taking possession until later.
Your videos make it that easy.
It does, yeah.
Because you make the home look spectacular, but the house actually has to be spectacular. Yeah. But that was actually, remember, one of the debates yesterday, like, but Brad, this totally makes sense for you. Remember the guys, they're like, but like, what about me? I'm in Delaware, or I'm selling something with like blue linoleum, like, right? So let's actually look at some videos first.
Sure. Let's do that.
Tell us, like, give us your worst video and then show us the one that you're probably the most excited about, proud of, et cetera. And by the way, if you're watching this, you're going to see this. If you're listening, you're only going to hear it. So make sure you jump over to my YouTube channel and check that out.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this. I'm actually quite proud of most of our videos, just purely because I'd say here's probably the worst video that we did.
And worst is just a way, to contrast, right?
Absolutely. So, I'll show you this one right here. This one felt a little more iMovie.
Oh yeah, quick.
Yeah, a little quick.
Are you looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo unit?
Low energy.
Under $250,000. Just steps to West Hills Shopping Mall.
Like you weren't excited to be there.
A little bit of paranoia in the eyes.
Of Sierra Morena Muse. Look no farther. This unit is being offered.
This has the blue laminate, as you were talking about, on the countertops. Some of the hinges were a little bit weak.
So let's stop right there for a second. So do you have to be inspired about the house?
Not necessarily. What's interesting about this home is that we actually sold this one to some clients who, had they sold it for $1 less, could not have paid out their mortgage, their other financing obligations, and they were in a really, really tough spot. This was not, I do a video for every property. So I was still proud of this video. We still put it together. This was just probably it was probably about 2 years ago now. And it was just at a point where I was still kind of refining my own on-screen presence.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because having not seen any of the early stuff, only seeing the perfect animation, like you're so fluid in your movement, your energy, it looks very precise, but natural. It doesn't look unnatural. It just looks like I wait for you to walk in and go, "Hey, I'm Brad." How are you? Like there's just a lot to it. Were you nervous here? Were you thinking about the client and their situation here? What caused that?
I'll say here's the thing. Being a practitioner, being a person that's actually goes on this side of the camera and then this side of the camera and then also edits it back.
Right.
I could tell that when I was speaking at some points in time that my eyes were revealing that I was looking for the words, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes or I'd try to amp up my energy and then all of a sudden my eyes would show that I was excited, like kind of like paranoid. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that look, right? So there was this benefit of being the person that was actually putting in the time on the other side, because I was able to refine. I'm like, oh, I don't like that. When my voice goes to that octave, I'll drop it a little bit lower. I'll move a little bit more. I'll kind of bob and weave towards the camera and back with the whole goal of trying to engage the audience, right? And the audience, there's this awesome TikTok where there's this man, there's this black man. He's got this very stern looking face and they duet him with a baby. And he like stares at the baby. And then he has this big, beautiful grin. It's like just the biggest smile on earth. And what happens to that baby? That baby smiles. The baby, first off, is like, what's going on? And then just smiles, right? It's like an automatic human reaction. And as soon as you realize that you can transfer that energy to others, it would be ridiculous to not do so, because it just brings in so much more engagement, so much more excitement. And then people feel what I think is actually one of the biggest keys to our success, which is there's like a passion in what we do.
Yes.
And that part of it is the part that translates to others, right? And then it's really hard to just be the agent that comes in with your stats, right? Because stats and facts don't sell, but stories do. And that's a big part of what we do.
So we should have mentioned your time at film school at USC, or was it Juilliard? Like,
no.
Before you do this, you are so technically sound. Like earlier, we had Glenda Baker on my show, and we talked about how she is analyzing, like literally on TikTok. She's like, okay, what was my hair doing that day? What color was I wearing? What was the story? How many likes? Like she's looking to connect the dots on everything. There's still a lot of people that are in the evolution of just shooting a video. Then there's what you're doing. Right?
Yeah.
Really thoughtfully thinking through, how am I expressing myself to the audience? Are they resonant? Like, where did that come from?
Well, I would say everyone that I talk to or that reaches out to me and says like, what gear do you use? What software do you use? 99% of them, I give them the answer, and what they come back with is like, but Adobe Premiere is hard. And I'm like, and so is life. If you're not selling homes, if you don't build a brand, if you have to prospect 2 hours a day because no one's calling you to work with you, life is a lot harder then too. So just choose what you want to do. Now for me,
choose your hard.
Exactly. I don't think that everyone needs to go and create videos like this, or that they should learn to edit, or that they shouldn't just go hire a videographer. For me, what it was, I just decided I was all in from day one. I didn't want to get good enough with an iPhone because other people in my market could get good enough with an iPhone. My goal was to do something that was so defensible and so hard to do and hard to repeat that others would likely not do it. And so even now, being as consistent as we've been, like we gained 7 or 8% of our audience virtually every month. And in the beginning, that was hard to tell myself, that when I went from 50 subscribers to 57 subscribers and I had 12 or 13% gain in 1 month, that was a good return on 40 or 50 hours of my time. Right. But the reality is when you compound that interest in your brand at 10,000 subscribers this February, when I hit it, I went to 12,000 subscribers by the end of that month. So that 2,000 subscribers still came with that same 50 hours. Before it was 7, because that's the way compound interest works. Right. But that's the difference. And the only way you get to that is if you start at the other side. And very few people are willing to start at the other side.
It's the slight edge. You ever read the book, The Slight Edge, or The Compound Effect?
Yes.
It's exactly what you're talking about. So let's go to your best video.
Okay.
Or in your current fave, I should say.
Yeah, I've got a few that I really like. I'm going to include something that I have with my wife, because
your wife is such a star.
She is just fantastic.
Your kids,
they're fantastic too. Yeah,
you married well.
I'm a fortunate man. Let's just be honest.
Yes.
Anyone who's met me is definitely like, oh my God, you're really fortunate. That should not have
humility, but
life should not have worked out so well for you. Okay, let's see. I'll start here.
Oh yeah, I love this video.
All right.
Let's make sure we link up on YouTube, his YouTube channel. Okay, sorry, I was totally talking over the intro. Okay, pause.
Yeah.
$1 million tours.
Yeah.
Is this actually your listing, or are you just touring properties?
Oh no, that's my listing. We double-ended that deal. We had multiple offers from Toronto on the same night for that property.
Why $1 million tours? And do they all say $1 million tours?
Just the ones that are $1 million tours. Yes, just the ones that are $1 million tours. But what's wild about it is that, so every agent thinks, or many agents will say, like, how'd you become a luxury agent, right? Because in my market, I've sold about 25% more luxury real estate than any other agent with no Rolodex, no connection, no wealthy
just
friends,
video.
right? Yeah, just video. And once again, purely because they know what's in it for them if they work with us.
Bingo.
And so what they'll call us and say, listen, this would be a great episode of $1 million tours when they're telling us to come list their $2 million home.
Right.
And that is absolutely nuts.
That's creating a brand in 18 months or less.
Yeah. And here's
30 months, but really the last 18.
So when people say, well, yeah, but how'd you get the first one, right? Everyone wants to reverse engineer. I say, well, here's really simple, guys.
You're going to tell the story?
If you get a $400,000 listing,
yeah,
make it look like it's worth $500,000.
Yeah.
And that will queue you up for a lot of $500,000 listing presentations.
Yeah.
Make that look like it's worth $600,000, and so on until all of a sudden you find yourself in $1, $2, $3 million homes, and no one ever questions whether or not you can do it again. So for me, strategically, I was trying to build a YouTube channel, not build a luxury brand. So I called up, I looked at the top 5 most expensive properties on my MLS. I called an agent. I called an agent who didn't have a video on his listing, but it was the kind of listing that I knew my wife and I could walk through and just be like, wow, whoa, cool, amazing, right? Like Owen Wilson our way through that place. Yeah. And so he's like, sure, absolutely, come on down. They opened the door for us. They gave us 4 hours in this house. I had a slight panic attack because I thought, wow, I do not know if I'll be able to actually deliver on this, because at the time we'd only did video for about 8 or 9 months. And so we filmed someone else's tour. So I've got 125 videos on our channel, one tour for someone else. It was a $6.5 million home. That video to this day, 2.5 years later, gets watched for over 3 hours watch time every day. So the long tail of that video has been amazing.
Brad, say that again. Say it direct to camera. Someone else's listing that didn't have a video.
That's right. Someone else's video, or sorry, wait, someone else's listing.
Someone else's video that
it's
didn't have a
early,
listing.
okay? Tom doesn't tell you this is an early morning podcast here.
It's 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. Someone else's listing that did not have a video, we went and created one for it. It created our luxury brand. It gets watched 3.5 hours every day.
Every day.
Every day. And what's wild about that is that today, like, what other marketing could you have done 2.5 years ago that you're still getting paid for today? That's still building your brand, your authority, all of that. And what's cool about going and finding a listing like that in your market is that no one will ever ask you again, if you do it right, can you market a multi-million-dollar property? And that's the only question that a wealthy client has is, do you actually have the chops? Could you do this? And so now at this point in time, a big part of this whole real estate industry is confidence to do something like that. Even for me, I would not take a listing I didn't think I could actually sell or market, or that there was another agent that could do a better job of. So being able to have the confidence to know that we've built an audience, we've built a following, that we've sold a lot of homes now at this point. Now with confidence, I can tell my client that what I'm not selling them is just some pitch or a bunch of BS. I can tell them, like, legit,
our audience
is massive, right?
Yep.
And even
it's the right audience.
That's right. And because other agents are starting now, their video, right, where I was on my journey 2.5, 3 years ago, that's getting 250 views. It's great. It's awesome that they're doing it and they're still getting work from it. But at least I have now the early adopter advantage of being able to say, well, we've built the audience. And because we've built the audience, we can get 20,000 views for that video versus say 300. And that has a massive multiple effect on value of the content or the marketing that we're creating for the clients, right? So,
for sure. Okay, I have like 5 things I want to unpack, but first, play it for a sec. I want to just acknowledge something.
Today, Teal and I are going to tour you through this custom-built Westridge Fine Homes. It will challenge all conventions of what you believe country estate living could look like on this week's episode
of $1 Million Tours.
Now,
in this series, we
alter ego.
Yeah.
Have you read the book? Do you know the Canadian that wrote it?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Todd Herman, who's a dear friend of mine, wrote this incredible book called The Alter Ego. And the whole concept is when we are afraid, right? When we lack the confidence that we can put on that alter ego. And it could be something that you wear. It could be a trinket in your pocket. In his case, it was like famous football players that he would put in his pads as this little 5'9" guy and go out and just crush people on the football field. And you said, Owen Wilson. Yeah. and my note was, is that a part of your alter, like when you come into set, right? When you're on camera, right? Is there an alter ego and was it intentional?
Yeah, it was very intentional. It was just a simple like U times 2 mentality.
Right.
I know that when we go on camera or video, it sucks half the energy out of the room. What we feel like is our biggest or brightest or most enthusiastic moments oftentimes don't play back like that.
Right.
So for me, what I always tell agents is, look, if you can deliver your lines and someone can walk by you on the street and you are not mortified or embarrassed, you're not going nearly big enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So my latest video, I'm like walking through this very popular high-end community in our city, and there's 25 cars going by, and I'm like, what's up, guys? We are down in Marda Loop right now. This is a community that everyone comes down to because of the great shops and restaurants, and I go through it all, and I give my voice, and I like really give
everybody hears it. Everybody like goes, yeah, oh, that's the guy. Yes.
Right, and I go through that whole part of it.
Right,
but
while everyone's walking around and you're walking into the donut shop,
walking, right? And what you realize really quickly is that there are far more fans than there are haters.
For sure.
Haters are just maybe a little bit louder.
Yeah,
right?
I love the haters.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching my video over and over again and leaving comments. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. We get some haters on there, but the reality is that the vast majority of people are like, man, I wish I could do that. Yeah. I wish everyone has this thing that they wish that if they just took that leap or believed in themselves or could get over themselves, that they could do this thing, right? Yeah. And whatever it might be, whether it's like play a song in public, right? Or write a book or whatever it might be, right? Yes. And so when they see someone doing that and putting themselves out there for it without fear of judgment, it's actually an inspiring thing. I agree. I got that inspiration from so many other great agents that were doing it I just thought, okay, listen, I would rake lawns if that's what it meant to feed my family. So I'm more than happy to go be a fool on the internet.
Right. And it's funny, like with the hater things, like you only get haters if you're doing something big.
That's right.
If you have no haters, you haven't done anything.
That's right.
Like you haven't put yourself out there.
If you don't have
anyway.
haters, you ain't doing it right. That's
right. Or just it.
Yeah,
not even right. You just ain't doing it, right? So go back to this video and tell us more about what you like.
Okay, so the reason this video works is very quickly we tell the viewer what's in it for them.
When you hear the words Alberta and acreage, what do you think?
Because we guarantee you, there's absolutely no way you're picturing anything like this.
So our thoughts here is really simple. A quick hook in the beginning, and then a couple of highlights of the property so people think like, okay, I want to stick around for the wine cellar. I like the lower, the fireplace in the basement, those windows in the living room. That's really cool. So we go through that. And then what we do is very, very simple. We actually talk a little bit about the community. That's because we get a lot of people moving to our city now. And so people want to understand
what
where we're
community
going.
should I live in.
And also, if this is not the home for them, I want them to understand that we understand the communities and what their needs are, what the benefits are. So when they call us and say, well, we don't know that Bears Paw, for example, is the right area. What about Springbank? I can speak to those things.
Yes.
Or they don't even ask because they already trust our opinion because we're sharing it here.
Right.
And if you think about when it comes to real estate or making a purchase like this, from the buyer's perspective, and the seller's perspective, there's so many unknowns that really the only things that any of us fear in life is really the unknown, right? Like if that like stick cracking behind us while we were on a walk, if we knew it was a squirrel, not a bear, we wouldn't be worried about it, right? But the fact that we don't know, we're freaked out. And so people don't know about the home that they're moving to, the community, what the neighbors are like. They don't know these things. So if there's 5 homes for sale in an area, the one that they understand and know the best is likely the one that they're going to take action on because they have that sense of security, right? And so it's like
it's storytelling.
Completely.
It's tribal. It's been around for as long as we've existed.
Absolutely.
Yesterday, you unpacked. I want to say it was like 5 things around storytelling. Yeah. Would you unpack that?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the challenge with every property, right? You queue up any property, a little apartment, condo, a rundown investor home, a flip, renovated property, multi-million-dollar property. Yeah. Every home has a story. And when people ask me like, well, it's just because you guys have beautiful homes to show. Well, that's not always the case. And the reality is that you can tell a story about the home itself if it's spectacular or if it's unique. If the home is really eclectic and like, the owners put in high gloss, neon pink kitchen cabinetry, well, then the story might be about the owners themselves, right? Like then it's like, why did they do that? What was their thinking behind it? Help people sort of appreciate the thought that went into it. Maybe the story is about the buyers that will be moving into that home. It's a first-time home buyer. Maybe it's a move-up home. What's that avatar? What is it going to be like living
without breaking any rules?
Yeah, without breaking any rules. Sorry, you guys got fair housing, right?
Fair housing in the U.S.
Yeah. Yep. So I think it's just
they have unfair housing.
So I think what we try to do is make it so the person that it's going to be most attractive to can start to imagine what their life would look like in it. And then void of all those things, if it's absolutely vanilla, it's absolutely uninteresting, then Teal and I will write a script and we'll make the story rarely, but every once in a while about us. Right. So we want to add some entertainment, right? Like YouTube is like, it's bottom line, it's like entertainment is like is great, and then there's education. But if you can edutain, then it's like you get all the interest, right? So you get all the views.
So one is sort of that story element, but you broke down sort of 5. There was like 5 pieces of it.
Of a story, like through one video. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to go back here. What I'd say what we do is like when we tell a story, we start with always our hook. And then we tease a little bit. Then we talk about the community. Then we talk about the actual properties. Now we have
tease, hook, tease, tease, hook, community,
and then the tour. And the tour always starts with the. If you ever watch the analytics on a YouTube video, you'll see that there is 30% more viewers in the beginning. And because there's 30% more viewers at 2 minutes in versus 4 minutes in, show them the hot stuff first, right? And once people are interested and hooked, they'll stick around for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30-minute tours, right? Just to watch. The big thing for us about that sort of story structure is that I want to be able to go back and look at the analytics and optimize where people dipped off. And what you'll often find is that the second there are 7 to 8 seconds with no human, no narration, and it's just house, you've now got a moving slideshow. Right. Like
it's real boring real fast.
It gets real boring. People like check out and so they just dip off. And as soon as they dip off, you've lost them. And so if you can optimize that first 30 seconds of your video, so even 6 or 7% more of the audience is still there. Then what you'll find out is that on a video that gets 20 or 30,000 views, what you've actually bought is 3,000 or 4,000 more views. And you've got, probably 50 to 60,000 more minutes of watch time just by increasing 6% of your viewership in the first 30 seconds.
In the hook and in the tease.
In the hook and the tease, yeah.
So the hook is like, did you know, or have you ever, or could you imagine, right? Trying to bring them in.
That's right, yep.
But the tease, it sounds like, is like the hottest features of the house.
Hottest features of the house, so people just need to know what's in it for them. Right. Like if I'm like, hey, listen, I want to buy myself this new camera, and I go to some guy's, review channel, and it's a 15-second intro about him, and there's flashes of him reviewing his stuff. I'm like, dude, I just want the answer. I want to get to it. Now with our stuff, people are just like, I just want to get to the spice. I want to see the spicy footage. I'm here for the fun, like the cool stuff. And so you have to entertain them right off the bat. And then once you get them into the video, it's far cooler. Yeah, people are fine.
What's your typical CTA?
Yeah, so I find that you need to do multiple CTAs. Like the best scripts as you go through the video is like, as you're walking by the lower level, you can be like, oh, look, we're gonna take you downstairs there in just a few minutes. You're gonna wanna see the incredible, incredible wet bar they've put in there. It's gonna blow your mind. But first, let's say, take you over to the ensuite or something. Right. And so that just hooks people around. They're like, okay, I'll stick around to see the really cool thing, right?
Yep.
But I always tell people at the end of the video, and this is, I ripped this off from Ryan Serhant. I just, rather than doing your end cards or having like a really professional end card video, I like to go like this. I'm like, hey, what's up? If you want to watch more videos about Calgary homes, you can watch this playlist right here. And guess what? If you never want to miss another video, just subscribe. And as soon as I say that, we actually see that the subscriber count like goes up. People actually get to that point, they watch it, and they need to know what to do.
Is it on every video?
It is, yeah.
Do it one more time, just for fun.
I
know you said this at least 130 times.
Exactly. I say, hey, so what's up? If you love touring some of our most amazing homes here in Calgary, all you got to do is watch that playlist right there. We've got some incredible places. If you want to get inside those, that's cool. If you want to never miss another video, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video, right? And so we always try to do that, but we try to not use too much ending language beforehand because we want people to stick around, right?
What about thumbnails? What have you learned about the magic of thumbnails?
So I'll back out for this just to show you guys. Listen, it's easy to want to tell everyone everything about a property in a thumbnail, the community. A lot of people are like, well, what about the price? If you have the price on there and the price changes, I'm like, you can change that in Canva in like 10 seconds, guys. But you'll see the reality is with a thumbnail is that a picture of a house and the price is about the most, it's such a statement that in the beginning, I didn't really quite realize why it works so well. But when someone from Toronto sees a picture of a gorgeous home and it says $2 million, they're like, that is insane. In our market, that's an 800 square foot downtown apartment condo.
Right.
This is garbage. I want to come out to Calgary. I can't believe you guys can buy that for $1 million, for $2 million.
Right.
And then you go, 200 miles north of us to some small town and they're like, this is some bull crap. What are you talking about? For $2 million, you can get 500 head of cattle.
But you
and
immediately have them
acres.
talking.
Exactly. People feel something about it, right? It's a statement. It's right away. If you're like, hey, you're like, how much do you think this mic's worth, right? Yeah. I do know how much this mic's worth. People are like, yeah, I'd like a nice mic. You're like, cool. I spent $500, on this Shure mic, and people are like, oh, I wouldn't spend $500, right? It's like they have an opinion.
I saw a gold labeled one. What about, so we had Shelly from TubeBuddy yesterday, and she talked about A/B testing on thumbnails. What was your impression of that?
So that is something that I wish I would do a lot more of. What's funny is I actually have TubeBuddy. Like I use TubeBuddy on it. And what's cool about TubeBuddy for me is I want to at a glance be able to compare myself with other agents.
Exactly.
I want to be able to see like what's hitting for them.
Yep.
And the weird thing about leading, the important thing about I think humility is that when you lead in any market, you get really lazy. You can easily get lazy. And so for us, I just still like feel like we're so fortunate and privileged to be able to list any property for anyone. And then especially the ones that we are listing and some of the success that we've had, that I look at some of these other agents and I'm like, man, that guy's stuff is really good. Like if a lot of people see his stuff, they're going to want to work with him. Right. So I got to make myself better. Right. And iron sharpens iron in this industry. So I like to watch and see what they're doing. Right. And then I watch guys like Enes Yilmazar. He's a dude that was doing these property tours, of course, like in LA and New York. And he went from like 300,000 subscribers to nearly 2 million. He blew past Ryan Serhant. Right. He gets 1 to 3 million views on almost everything. Stop selling real estate, just sends out referrals.
Just does referral fees now.
Just does referral fees, right? It's a brilliant business model.
It's a YouTube version of a $1 million listing.
Absolutely.
And instead of being stuck in one location, you're going to be all over the place. Right?
All over the place. And it breaks every rule that agents think, right? So 3 years ago, everyone's like, keep it short. Keep it short. Nobody likes you. Nobody cares about you. They just want the value. Just get right to it. And now what you realize is that, wait a second, like YouTube wants time on platform so they can sell more ads.
Thank
right?
you.
So if they can sell more ads, and that experience has started with you or continues with you because people to continue to watch your videos, then at that point in time, they're going to start serving up your stuff over others.
Bingo.
And that is the only thing that matters. So if you can answer that question, like for me, like what's in it for the clients that work with me? What's in it for YouTube if they share my videos? What's in it for the agents that come join my team? Like that's the question you should be asking. And the more you work on those answers, the better things are going to go for you, especially with a site like YouTube.
I agree. Do you monetize your channel? I know you do as a real estate professional. Do you monetize it as a YouTuber?
Yes, I do monetize my channel. I do. Like, it's funny. It's a weird.
I know it is.
It's a weird. It's a weird thought because a lot of people say, well, like, what's the $800 or $1,000 a month that I make on it? What is that really worth? I mean, it is kind of cool. Like now, I can go get a beautiful vehicle, lease a vehicle, and just YouTube ads pay it. And some people think, well, what if they click on your video and they have to watch 3 seconds of an ad? Well, you know what that means? That means I'm pretty legit.
That's right.
Someone is placing their ad before mine. And my competition places their ad before mine. And the way I look at it is like, great, give me 3 seconds here and you're going to see why you should call me. Right. And if their ad is so amazing, then I think, I better make some better content.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I'm glad I wanted to get into the weeds on that because I can go back and say, I would tell audiences all the time, do you remember getting on like ESPN or pick your whatever news outlet, whatever, and you would go on there and you were like, oh, look at that provocative headline. Yeah. That is interesting to me. I click on it and it used to all be text. Yeah. And what is it all now? It's all video. And every video you watch, what is there in front of the video and the information you actually want? Yeah. There is an ad. And if it's a really good video, what is there somewhere around the middle? There is another ad. Like that's just the game now. Yeah. So, the monetization. Now I have not done it. Right. And like literally my team's like, you're losing $80,000 a month. And I'm like, and I have apprehension around it. You should. So I know. You shouldn't. I might need ad therapy.
No, you know what it is? It's that Billy Joel Piano Man song. Yeah. Right? What's that one line? You know it's me that they've been coming to see to forget about life for a while. That's what your content is. That's what our content is. That's what content creators make. That's right. They go there to forget about life for a while. So it's like if they have to wait 3 seconds to get it, it just means, and you know what's wild is that people will watch the commercials and then they will write in the comments, did not skip ads because I wanted Brad to get paid. Right. It's wild because when you have a fan, they know that you're putting in a lot of work. They're not paying anything other than their internet subscription to log in and see your videos. Right,
to get access to this.
So they get it. Yeah. They get it.
Yeah. Gary and I talked about this like a while ago. It's just we give and 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 give. And every now and then we might ask, like he'll say, buy my sneakers. Yeah, yeah. Right? I might say, come to an event.
Jab. Yeah.
I'm like 1,000 jabs. And then, no, I don't even think I'm at a jab because the jab is still kind of a gentle ask in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
I think I just give. But I'm working on it. I need therapy. Yeah. All right. Let's, so we covered, I think, 3 of the things I want to talk about. Sure. We talked a little bit about the worst video. We talked a little bit about the best video. Will you please show the video of your kids? It is just adorable.
I do love this
If you haven't subscribed to his channel, you will subscribe just for this video. And if you don't have children, rent them.
Mom and I have been talking. We think it's time that you guys start thinking about your future.
Our future? Yeah, like what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to do to make a living? I want to be a doctor. And I want to be a teacher.
Guys, that all sounds great. But your mom and I agree there's no higher calling than being a real estate agent.
Sure, Dad, but do you really think we have what it takes? Well, I guess we're going to find out because we're in front of Dad's newest listing.
That's right. Mom and I want you guys to sell us Unit 507 in the Sobo.
What's there to sell, Dad? The Sobo, it sells itself.
It's such a good line.
It's so good.
Located in Inglewood, Calgary's hippest community, they're close to it all. Join us as we walk inside this 2-bedroom,
the no teeth in the front
it's so good.
Just adorable times 10.
How's this for first impression?
We play it up a little bit.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So they get like, you need to watch the video, and everyone out there that doesn't have kids, like, what do I do? I don't know. Like I've seen Tim Smith not put his kids inside there, and he literally has friends, kids that want to be actors and or just are totally want to be out in front of the camera. He was doing early videos with kids running around the house, exploring it like a child would versus an adult would. Like So what kind of response did you get to that video?
Amazing. An amazing response from, and both from the seller. The seller actually, once they sold the place, they sent my kids like $150 Amazon cards each and thanked them for actually selling the house, giving us no credit whatsoever.
Perfect.
My kids loved it though, right? It meant so much to them.
Sure.
But the big thing about a video like that is in that building, for example, we've got 2 of the highest sales because of those videos. Now we own that building for everything that comes up, because everyone wants to work with us in that building, because we actually can show that we get 10-12% more than everyone else, right? And it's just purely because we're putting in the work. And like yesterday at the mastermind, I'm sitting down there, and a lady, just because we did a $379,000 video, which most agents would say, well, why waste your time on the cheap ones?
$379,000 house.
Yeah, exactly.
The video did not cost $379,000.
$379,000 listing tour.
Yes.
And and then it's like, okay, I own a townhome in that same building. It's about $650. Loved the video. Can you call me mid-January? I want to list my place with you.
Boom.
Right. And it's that kind of stuff is just, it's compounding every day. And what we realize is when you have, like, we just surpassed 2 million views and the equivalent of about 6.5 million minutes of watch time.
Yes.
And every minute that passes now, we're at 15 minutes of watch time.
Right.
So 15 minutes of watch time, and that's 24 hours a day. So I can be sick, I can be with my family, I can be out with clients, I can be working on an offer, I can just have an off day, right? I can go golfing and I'm still prospecting and I'm still cold calling, except it's in reverse. They're opting in, so they're cold calling and prospecting me.
Right. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
As you know. So let's talk about getting the word out. Distribution. What have you learned? What works? What doesn't? Do you email stuff? Do you boost it on every other channel? Like, just give us sort of the hacks you've learned along the way.
Okay, yeah. So I can tell you one of the best hacks is to not shortcut this stuff. So that means, like, if you create a great video and you're really proud of it and you want everyone to see it, don't take that YouTube link and then put it up on Facebook, because when people are on Facebook, they're looking to get, like, share their opinions on political things, see their families and their niece's birthday party, whatever that might be. But they're not in YouTube mode. So if they're friends with you, they might be like, I'm going to go check out Tom's new video. Click on that link. They go to YouTube. They watch 20 seconds. But because they're distracted by something else, the Facebook
they're in
feed,
Facebook mode.
They leave. They go back to Facebook. And YouTube, what they see is someone came to YouTube and bounced after 20 seconds of seeing Tom's content. So that's not a good experience. So Facebook also is like, hey, listen, we don't want people leaving our platform. What's in it for Facebook if you post a YouTube link? What they want is natively post video. So you want to always put that video natively on LinkedIn, natively on YouTube, natively on Facebook, and then
not the link.
You just exactly. And so what I do is, like, when I post my video on LinkedIn, I'm going from the entrepreneurial perspective, where I want them to say, okay, this is what it's like, running a team, a real estate team. This is what it's like doing this marketing. This is the exposure and the success we have, right? Whereas YouTube, I'm describing the house and how to contact us in the comments.
So I was just looking at, I wasn't being rude in the middle of
No,
please. I was just
please.
going to your Instagram. And by the way, nice interview with Jimmy. Jimmy's a really good friend.
Yeah, great friend of mine too. Yeah.
All right, so just looking at this was my question. Like, thinking short form, do you change? Like, do you vary it up on Instagram versus, or do you take the entire full form video and just post it?
Yeah, so we actually do quite a bit of short form in that way. What we do is, when we go to a listing tour, the way we optimize our time, because this good content takes time. So when I'm there, not only do we shoot the tour, but we also shoot a TikTok intro. So like a 1-sentence TikTok intro, like a hook. Hey, like, do you want to see in this $1 million home in Calgary, downtown Calgary? And then we just do a quick, like, walkthrough tour of that. And so since we're there, we're dressed, we're showered, we're like camera ready. That's the time to do it. Then we'll also stand behind the kitchen island and say, like, hey, we're having an open house this weekend. So if you want more details on that, just check the link below. Now, that can be any weekend. That can be any time. But we have that content in case we need it. And it took us a second to film it. And then what we also do is instead of doing a coming soon of like the sign in the yard in the front of a house on a gray overcast day where it just feels sad.
Yeah.
What we do is take a 15-second video of like shot, McCallum Group coming soon.
Yeah.
Right. And people are just like, oh man, that's so next level. And it's like,
Right.
we already filmed all the stuff for the
Right.
tour. So
Right.
we're just repurposing it. And then we also do the same thing for just solds too. So like we'll actually like walk out of the house and say, whew, that one went fast.
Yeah.
Right. And just to remind you, we made it look like this, we sold it like that.
Yeah.
And you know, like this is what we do, right?
Yeah.
Some simple message,
Yes.
people love it.
Yeah. Just sold videos.
Exactly.
Right. I love that. All right. So Brad, if you never did a podcast again and you were never in front of agents again,
Yeah.
what's the thing you want to say to the industry?
Oh my goodness. So the way I feel about this industry is that we have one of the greatest privileges. We have such an impact on our clients. Our clients, oftentimes a shift of $10,000 or $15,000 can be the difference between them restarting their life or not being even able to sell. We just have such an honor. It's such an honor to represent our clients, and that, I get emotional about this because it's just, we get focused on transactions, top producing. We 50 deals. I did 60 deals. Okay, I should respect you more because you did more than me, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But what really, like at the end of the day, the thing that I care about is like, did you make a difference for that client? And if you made a difference for that client, then that's amazing, and we can make a difference. Especially a year like this where it's been so wild, so busy, so many people are saying, why would I do this? What difference would it make? Well, there's going to be 15 offers anyways. Okay, cool. What if there was 25 and your clients could have made an extra $20,000 and that helped them get that home that had the extra bedroom that they needed for that baby that's on the way, right? Or like whatever that might be, if they just understood how much of a difference that they could make and how much of an honor it was, they would do everything they could. I don't say that it necessarily has to be video, and there's so many amazing agents that are doing that. Yeah. But my idea is that if we want to defend against the robots, we have to do more. Just more. Figure out what that is.
More humanness.
Exactly.
More humanness.
Yeah, absolutely.
More humility.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. That was beautiful.
Oh, I'm
beautiful.
sorry.
Well,
I mean, it's...
No,
I'm not articulate when it comes to that because I just
you
struggle
actually are.
with that. Okay.
You actually are. Like it was very like I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Like, but I've gotten to know you, so it's so I get it. And even in this moment, I think anybody watching, because they're going to see this and they see the and hit it up, right? And then but now we get why you do it.
For sure. Yeah.
Right. Even just in the very beginning of this, like if you really want to get sales and marketing and building a business, the opening of this podcast when you talked about like, hey, I solved this problem. Like, how am I going to stand out? Like that there's a formula there, my friends. That I was literally, as you were doing that, even though I was like taking notes, I'm like, this is a company I would invest in.
Yeah.
Cool. You with me? I would invest in you any day of the week.
We got that on tape. Okay. We got.
Wouldn't it be great if there actually was tape?
Yeah.
We should put tape just on the back of the camera. Yes. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I appreciate you,
we get to jump back in and now go do a little mastermind. Right. But if you're not following Brad on all the social channels, highly recommend it. Definitely watch a couple of videos. R&D, right? Like, so where we live in, and like you can aspire and say, okay, I can take elements of that and I could do a little more of this, a little more of that. There's definitely I have an alter ego book. I'm going to give it to you. You're going to love it. Because you're doing it. You're doing it on steroids. So, all right. So, hey, thank you guys so much. And Brad, thank you so much for being a part of this. Follow him on all those channels. Give us a like, give us a comment. If that makes sense for you, share this. I don't think I've ever actually done, no, I did it twice.
Yep.
This is the third time. Was that douchey? I don't
think
so.
Anyway, not at all.
We love you. We're out. Bye.